The myth of work-life balance, a better model for real women. Welcome to your daily hit of grace and grit, your quick dose of inspiration to kickstart your day. This show is proudly sponsored by Rumble and Rise. To find out more about joining Rumble and Rise, head on over to graceandgrit.com/ready to rumble. I'm Courtney Townley, and here is today's hit. I'm going to introduce you to my client, Sarah, who had so many things mapped out when I met her, right? She had the intention of waking up at 5 a.m. for yoga. She was going to meal prep on Sundays. She was never going to miss her daughter's games. She was going to crush it at work. She was already crushing it at work and still have energy for date night. It seemed like the perfect balance. Except what happened to Sarah once execution set in, it was time to execute that plan, is what happens to so many of my clients. By Tuesday, she was already feeling behind. By Thursday, she felt like a failure. And by Sunday, she was Googling, how the heck do you achieve work-life balance? For the 100th time, she Googled that. But here's what no one had ever told Sarah. Work-life balance is a myth. It's not a place you arrive at. It's not a place you find on a map. It's not even a goal worth chasing. The imagery itself is flawed. Think about it. When you think about a scale, right? Work-life balance, a scale with work on one side and life on the other side, as if they're opposing forces that need equal weight. But your life isn't a scale. Your life isn't a seesaw. It's an ecosystem. Some seasons demand more from your career. Others require you to pour more into your family, your health, or maybe your healing process. That's not failure, that's life. And honestly, I think knowing when you need to put more energy in a certain area is wisdom. Life is rarely going to feel balanced. So what would feel different for you if you ditched that notion that you're supposed to feel work-life balance? So let me offer you maybe a different perspective to give you a little bit of relief and a different lens to look at this through. A better model, I think, is really aspiring to find more work-life rhythm. So rhythm implies fluidity and intentionality. It honors the season you're in instead of forcing a one-size-fits-all formula that was designed by somebody who isn't you, somebody who isn't living your specific life. So what does rhythm actually look like? Well, it looks like starting to identify your non-negotiables. And I did a podcast about that a few days ago. You can go back and check that out. Non-negotiables, the things that when they're missing from your life, make everything else fall apart. So maybe for you, that's 8 hours of sleep. Maybe it's moving your body every morning. Maybe it's 10 minutes of silence before the day starts or during your lunch break. These aren't luxuries. These are anchors that help you to show up the way you want to show up, no matter what's happening around you. They're not big actions. They're just actions that really matter to your resilience and your ability to show up in life the way that you want to. So instead of trying to do everything every day, you build cycles. Some weeks you go hard. Some seasons you go hard. Other seasons you dial back and you focus more on rest, connection, and creativity. You stop apologizing for not being everywhere at once or not being able to apply the same resources to every area at all times. I'm always reminding my clients that by giving more to something, you have to acknowledge that you're going to have to take away from someplace else. Because you only get so many resources a day. So I think in my own life, some examples stand out to me of where I really had to pull away from work in order to give more to my personal life. I think specifically of my husband about a decade ago now. He had major back surgery. And then right a few weeks after that, he got Lyme's disease. That year was so wildly disorienting, and I had a toddler in tow. So was I able to take on new projects at work and scale my business exponentially? Of course not. And I was at peace with that because I knew where my focus needed to be. And how did I know where my focus needed to be? Because I know my priorities. An exercise I challenge a lot of my clients with is what I call a priority filter. If you were to name right now the top 3 priorities of your life, if you could only give attention to 3 things in your life, what would they be? For me, it would be my health, my family, and my work. Now, the trickier part of this exercise is to actually put in order of priority those priorities. That's not so easy. So what is most important on that list? Well, for me, it's my health, because if I don't have my health, I can't show up for my family and I can't show up to do my work. Second to that would be my family. And thirdly would be my work. So I care about my work immensely, but it is not the most important thing in my life. So when my family is needing me and I remember my priority filter, it's easier for me to give myself permission to put more resources towards that without feeling guilty, right? So my client, Sarah, who I introduced this whole episode with, she discovered this for herself too. She stopped trying to split herself evenly across every area of her life and really just started asking a different question. What does this season that I'm in right now require of me? And sometimes that meant saying yes to a really big work project, knowing that was going to take more of her time, and ordering takeout for her family when she got home without the guilt, because she knew it was a season. It was for now. But in other seasons, it meant blocking off her evenings and letting some emails wait till Monday so she could be all in with her family. The truth is, rhythm isn't something that you find. It is something that you create on purpose, one intentional choice at a time. And that's why it's so important to know what your priorities are and what the order of priorities are. That doesn't look like anyone else's life. It looks like yours. If this stirred something inside of you, imagine what a whole book of clarity and courage could ignite. The Consistency Code, a midlife woman's guide to deep health and happiness, goes even deeper into the mindset and practices that create real, meaningful change at midlife. Grab your copy today over at theconsistencycode.com and keep the momentum alive.